Okay. So we're going to talk about what the Lord's been teaching us and what's been good and what's been hard. Um,
What we've learned from the past few days.
my biggest thing was being in Arizona and seeing the different place it is and seeing the different kind of people there is, and then seeing these gorgeous red rock mountains that are more immense than anything I've ever seen before. You just look at it and I couldn't even take in how immense everything was. And it's just like God is sovereign over that. Like those things are obedient to Him. And something I learned this year, that's something that really hit me this year in Auburn, and it was really cool to me. But I realized that it was so limited in perception. Like God is sovereign over Auburn, and He can do really, really great things by the power of His name in Auburn, which is so small compared to this grand scheme of things. And being in Arizona, when I think of how I look at the people around Him, like He loves those people. Those people are important to Him. It put into such a bigger perspective of how big our God is and how in control He really is and how mighty He really is. And then I sat back for a second and I thought, and He delights in me and knowing me and spending time with me. How little am I in this huge creation He's developed, but He wants to know me more. And that's something that kind of blew my mind. I told you this after we watched the movie Jungle Book. I was just like, wow, but the tiger is obedient to God.
God made the lions.
They're so feisty and they're so mighty and they're so strong and they don't know how to beat them, but God can beat them. And I don't know why that blew my mind so much, but it was really cool to think that even the lions and tigers and bears, even though there were no lions in that movie, the lions are obedient to Him too. So even further, you take that to the jungle, you take that to every feisty creature that there is, and they're all obedient to His name. And that's the God we serve. That's the God that wants to know me. That's the God that I get to know. And it kind of just blew me away.
I guess for me the biggest thing was I've grown up living and pretty much only being in the South or the Southeast of America and not visiting any other places for the most part. Like I've been to Colorado and I've been to Wisconsin, a few other places, but you just forget how different so much of the world is. Not only just scenery wise, but in Sedona it just feels so different because the air is so much drier and the people are not as friendly. And I've always had a really grass is greener on the other side kind of thought process when I'm thinking where I want to live the rest of my life. Like for Alabama, I love Alabama, I love the way Alabama looks, but I always have terrible allergies and I'm always it's always really hot and humid, and I never like that. So in my mind I was thinking I need to figure out what places don't have allergies that I would get, and figure out what places aren't as humid, or the low humidity out here making things, I don't know, just temperatures fluctuate a lot. Some mornings we would go do stuff and it would be 40, 50 degrees out, and then next thing we know it feels like it's 90 or 100 degrees. So I guess the biggest thing that I got out of it is just to not take things for granted so much and assume that where I live in Auburn or Huntsville or Florida or wherever I'm staying at the time, assuming that there's a place better than that I'm going to be someday, and just to live where I'm at and be more satisfied with where God has me at the moment, and to not live with such a future mindset that everything is going to be better because I'm going to pick the perfect place to live. And for me, another thing I learned was I've always loved mountains, but seeing mountains, it's just really hard to grasp just how big they are. So for the Sedona Red Rocks, if you want to call them that, they're just so abrupt, and they look so massive, and you stand in front of them and they're just bigger than any building could ever be, anything any man could ever make. But putting into perspective, they're so tiny compared to the size of mountains, like the Rocky Mountains or even the Smoky Mountains. It's just crazy to think of like how big those mountains are and how big God is in comparison.
What's been good is just having some time to relax. When in Sedona, we had a lot of time to relax, and just telling myself it's okay to relax. You don't have to be moving every second. Like, don't feel guilty for not doing something. Is something that hit me hard. What's been hard is just being around. You're great, but being around people consistently, obviously family, you get to know each other better, and that's also really sweet, great time to know more about a person. But I think I've learned a lot between the two of us on how to handle each other on a, what's the word, when we see each other more.
A daily basis?
Yes,
or
a daily
more consistently?
Yes, because it's not, when we visit each other in Huntsville or Orlando, it's usually a short amount of time. But we go hiking together, we do a bunch of different things together, and I've just really seen how people's relationships go through different seasons. And looking back on a relationship, I don't know if I told you this, but I've just seen how even our relationship goes through different seasons, not of good or bad, but how just God's showing different things through it to me. And one thing he showed me recently, or not recently, this was a long time ago, was how the beauty of having a relationship centered on Christ is all the ways we hurt each other or we could mess up, he just covers in love and grace. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I pictured, when I tell you this, it's like all the things, all the sins we've ever hurt each other with, just get covered with a golden blanket of love. And I picture in my head shimmering. I know it's lame. And so 1 Peter 4:8, which says, love each other deeply for it covers a multitude of sins, has kind of been that way to describe that for me. But now, just learning how to talk to each other when you're tired, talk to each other when you're hungry, how to be gracious and merciful with one another. It's been really cool just to know you on a more consistent basis for me. What's been good and hard for you?
Highs and lows. What's been really good for me is getting to know Christie's parents a lot more, and just no longer feeling like a robot around them, but just feeling like I can not hang out with them, but essentially that, make conversation with them and have a lot of fun times.
Making memories?
Yeah, just making memories and having fun with them is becoming a lot easier.
Oh, there's your phone. I don't know why Lois is laughing. I don't think he's laughing at me. Oh, there's a little lizard.
I love your parents, they're great. So, just getting to get to know them better has been really great. The definite hardest part of this trip has been coping with the fact that Christie's dad has spent so much on it, and just trying to figure out how to be grateful for all that and how to thank him for everything, but also how to just remind myself that but it's not all bad, because I'm also learning that money is not a bad thing necessarily, and it's studying engineering. I've kind of felt convicted lately that people always say you study engineering because you just want to make money and that's it, but I'm studying engineering because I genuinely like it, but I also genuinely would like to put hard work into making money, because money is not a bad thing. The love of money is not a good thing, but money can allow for some pretty fun and awesome experiences with your family. So that's why I would